Welcome to Acceptable Use Trivia, the game show where you test your knowledge on acceptable technology usage within the Brandywine School District. Let's look at our rules, players. You will be given a series of 5 questions to answer to the best of your ability. You are welcome to use the Brandywine School District Acceptable Use Policy found within the printed Student Code of Conduct copy that you were given in the first week of school, or it can also be located on the Brandywine School District website if needed. Your final rule is to try to answer the question before time runs out, and then check your response against the correct one when it was revealed. Let's go to question number 1, players. Question number 1, let's start with what is an acceptable use policy? I'll give you a few seconds to think about that and try and answer it. All right, players, let's see how we did. An acceptable use policy is the guidelines users agree to follow when given technology from an organization. They often outline acceptable uses, hence acceptable use policy, of technology, such as accessing school materials as needed, and also outline consequences for when the policy is violated. So if you don't do what you're supposed to, you might receive a consequence. As I stated earlier, Brandywine School District's acceptable use policy can be found on the district website or within that printed student code of conduct you were given. Let's move on to question number 2. Keep track of your points. Question number 2 is true or false. The Brandywine School District AUP states that students may not physically damage their school-issued Chromebooks. Let's think about it and then lock in those answers. All right, players, let's see the answer. Is this true? Page 24 of the Student Code of Conduct says that students are to protect their Chromebooks from damage, and this includes from substances such as gum or water. This aligns with a U.S. Public Interest Research Group Education Fund report that states that extending the life of Chromebooks in schools across the country could save taxpayers, nearly $1.8 billion just by having to save them from repair, which can add up quickly. Let's move on to question number 3. Question number 3 is, what is a consequence for students who do not follow the AUP and cyberbully or use district technology to send inappropriate or harmful messages? I'll give you a little bit to think about that, and then we'll move on to the answer. All right, folks, let's check our answers. So according to the Code of Conduct, consequences for violating the BSD AUP can vary based on the severity and frequency of the infraction. They can range from parent contact from a teacher or even an administrator to police involvement, depending on the severity of the violation. So if a law is broken, probably gonna have to call the police, friends. The best way to avoid these consequences are to practice good etiquette, do not cyberbully, and be mindful of other cultures when interacting with others. To avoid ethical issues, and ensure that you are not violating the AUP by familiarizing yourself with it by, again, checking the website or going in your student code of conduct. Let's go to question number 4. True or false, the BSD acceptable use policy states that students are welcome to install any software they wish onto school-issued devices. Let's think about unlocking those answers, guys. Let's check your responses. This is false. Code of Conduct states that you are not allowed to install unauthorized software on school-issued devices, and it also extends to not accessing unsafe websites that could install viruses onto your Chromebooks. Let's go to our final question for this game. True or false, a consequence for not following the AUP could be being banned from school dances. Let's think about unlocking those answers, friends. This is true. Depending on the severity or frequency of the offense, it is optional for certain privileges like attending dances or participating in sports to be canceled. This is most likely linked to being involved in cyberbullying or sending harmful messages or causing extreme damage to a school device via improper use, whether physical or installing viruses, whether by accident or not, by not being aware of the websites or the software you are installing. So let's find out who our winner is. Drum roll, please. It's you, because now you understand the acceptable use for Brandywine School District at a glance, but you are better off furthering your knowledge by reading that AUP yourself. Thank you for playing, friends. Remember, check the Brandywine School District website for all the information you need about the AUP. Have a good one.